Hey folks, I want to record a little tutorial here on how to replace faces in Metal Gear Solid using my Codec tool. So the Codec tool allows you to look around and browse the file system of Metal Gear Solid. And one of the things that lets you look at is the face files. Uh, and one thing you can do with the tool is you can replace these face dat files and these faces and the individual face files inside them using my tool. However, there are some limitations. Right now, I don't support updating ISO files, which is what this bin file is from the Steam apps. So as of right now, the best version to be using is the GOG version. So the Good Old Games version supports loading this face stat directly off the file system, and so there's no extra layer over the top that causes any additional requirements here. So we can edit this file directly. So I've already been editing this file a little bit. So there's some, updated faces that you can see here. And we're going to go through how to make a face like this in this tutorial. If you just want to take an existing face like this and replace another, that is effectively what we'll cover at the end of this tutorial. So we need to grab a clean face. This is a good example. So we're going to go ahead and export this file. So we'll go back up here and grab this and say save as. And we're going to put it into this example folder that we've got here. And once we've got it in that folder, then we should be able to browse to it. So let me copy that path. Actually, I have it here. So if we browse to that folder, you can see that we have the ability to browse into that face file, anywhere on the file system. So this face file now can be, copied, backed up, edited, and I do recommend that you make a backup copy of the face stat file that you're editing, no matter what. So let's get a what I'm going to do first is I'm going to save a copy of this base image as a PNG, and that's going to give us the sort of the image dimensions that we're working from. And so then you can open that up in whatever image editing software you prefer to use. And that gives us here, you can see that it's 52 by 89 is what we're targeting. So we can overwrite this image, that's fine. And so that's probably what we'll do. And so you're going to take your art or whatever, and you're going to copy paste it or whatever, however you want to get it into your image editor. I can use an image I was working on earlier just because I know it a little bit. This is the one you were seeing in the codec earlier. So I know how to work with this one a little bit. But yeah, so you've got an image like this, and then we want to turn it into something more like this. So you'll notice maybe the colors aren't exactly right, or the sizes aren't exactly right. So we're going to first fix the size. So we'll set the canvas size correct. So we saw it was 52 by 89. So if we try putting 52 here, you can see the height ends up as 81. That's too small. We can't, it's better to crop than to like stretch. So we're going to set this to 89 and then crop it down to 57. And the way I'm going to do that in my paint tool, I used bicubic sampling for the quality there. It looks best with bicubic. You don't want to use nearest neighbor when you're sampling down. But now we want to crop it down. So we said it was 52. That is resize. I meant to do canvas size. 52. So yeah, this is a crop tool. There's also the crop tool here in your paint. Yeah, your image editor might use this kind of crop tool. But in any case, we crop it down. And at this point, we've basically got an image that could be imported, but there's a few things, a few details you might want to add. So one of the interesting things is sort of this border around that's, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 pixels here. I've actually found it looks best to give the whole thing a little bit of a glow around. And the way I do that is by adding a white rectangle that is 3 pixels by 3 pixels around the edge, and then just setting this to, around 30, 33, 35, somewhere in there, and giving it that glow around the edge. So once you've got that, this is a pretty decent background image. So we're going to go ahead and save that as, and we'll save it as back updated.png. And let's go ahead and merge the layers down. So we can go look here in this example folder. What? File save as. I think let's try that again. There we go. I think it did not save it as a PNG. But there we go. Now it's updated and here. So if we open up this face, we can now replace this back or base image with that back updated. And if we go now and view image preview, you can see it has been updated. Okay, so how do we handle these eyes and mouths? It's very similar, but there's a few extra constraints. So, obviously you want to edit the eyes and mouth to, sort of match the expression that's expected by the game. So the file names I have here are pretty self-explanatory. You have eyes droop, eyes blink, mouth E, and mouth A. E is sort of open and showing maybe the top teeth. A is sort of wide open, sort of saying a lower vowel like ah or something like that. And I think these are quite self-explanatory. But that's basically the images you have for a face that could be animated. Some of the faces have fewer. As long as you have all of them, the game should not break. But you might end up running into some memory issues if you try to give all faces all these images. That being said, if you take a look here, this is a fairly large image, and if we make it smaller, you're going to maybe save a bit of image memory. So it usually works. So let's go into the constraints here. So you could just willy-nilly grab a rectangle like this, and in my case, it's almost okay. But there's a couple things you got to watch out for. The first thing you need to make sure is that the top left is an even number. And the second thing is that the width needs to be an even number. So in my case, I should probably make it, judgment call here, probably a little narrower. But whatever you think, it's usually better. Like it doesn't look better to narrow it usually, depending on your art, and that's why the game has relatively large portions because, if you need to capture more detail, capture a larger region, but capture the smallest region you can that is in those constraints. So here we got a 6 by 36, 42 by 10. Actually, I'm going to do the 40 by 10. So we can copy this and in your image editor, create a new image with that. Now, if your image editor supports setting the X and Y coordinates here, so we can see this is 636, you can set that. Otherwise, this script that you may have seen briefly earlier, oh, look at that, 636, happens to be exactly where we had grabbed earlier. This script here is a pretty simple script. It just sets the X and Y. But again, if your image editor software lets you do that, you don't need a script like this. Otherwise, you probably do. But yeah, you'll set that image to have this X and Y offset. Not every image format supports it. And in ImageMagick right now, it seems to mostly be supported by PNG, which is why I've chosen that here. So anyway, you export these eyes, and then we do the same for the mouth. So we want to grab, why don't we just grab what we grabbed earlier, 1857. So here's 1856. 1857. Grab that rectangle here, create a new image with this, save it as well as, or save them both, I guess, mouth.png. That's what this one wants. Now again, like you can, if your paint supports it, you can skip this next step. But if not, we're going to go apply the X and Y coordinates. So this is going to create a new image called placed that has those X and Y coordinates. If you were to just, okay, query successful. Now we can replace these. But if you were to just replace these with the images you created, it will either put it in the top left corner or it'll put it wherever this guy's eyes were. So Colonel in this case. But whoever's eyes you're replacing, it doesn't trust that it's a 0, 0, my program when it's replacing it, and it will at least try to put it, where they were, assuming that what you just did was edited this image. But since we're completely changing it, in this case, we needed to be specific about these X and Y coordinates. And so that's what we did there. So now we're going to replace eyes placed in both of these cases and mouth. And now if we go look in there again, you can see the replaced images. So I just refreshed basically. So now this we have this fully prepared face file. So if we look in this folder, we can rename it to whatever we want. You know, let's say Ninja version 1, and you can make a backup copy of this whenever you have it, you know, the way you want. And then, you know, obviously you can edit these to match what you need. And then at this point, it's time to put this back into the game. So we're going to jump back over to the GOG folder and go into the face.dat. And generally, okay, so you're going to see that I've already replaced this earlier, and I actually replaced it earlier with a slightly different background as well. So we'll replace both of these. So let's start with this one. Replace that with this Ninja V1 that we just made right here. And we'll do these as well. Okay, so now if we go look at the image preview here, you can see how they look. The green is slightly shifted. It's going to be using the palette that was already there. There's tricks to get the color grading exactly right, and probably the easiest thing to do is to first shift it to black and white, and then go curves and pick red and green, or sorry, red and blue to be down to 214. If you do that, that generally matches the color grading. You may also want to set your levels with a slightly, you know, a slightly lower reset, but a slightly well, lower, but I guess higher number gamma, so that it gets a little bit darker. So that's what I had done on the previous ones. But you know, this is all to taste. It depends on your style. But the palette will be matched automatically by the Codec tool. So this is now replaced. You can see you have this, and since we replaced it with the same thing, it won't animate. But we can now jump into the game and test it out. So I've got this save here where we're pretty consistent with the Codec conversations. I know what I mean is that we use both of the animations.
The DARPA chief and President Baker. So now the terrorists know both detonation codes.
Yeah, and on top of that, they both died right in front of my eyes.
So there you can see that's a successful replacement. Now, the animations are happening, but again, since it's using the same image, you're not seeing anything wrong. But that basically shows that we got pixel perfect placement, and you can edit those as needed. Thanks for watching.